If you notice that your operating system is loading more slowly, one of the main reasons could be a large amount of unnecessary files. Over time, as you use your operating system, whether it is Windows or Linux, the number of unnecessary files increases. These files include temporary files, logs, search history, cookies, and similar items. Every time you turn your computer on, the operating system loads all the necessary data and programs. The more the data there is, the longer it will take for the operating system to load. To improve your system's performance, it is recommended to regularly clean up unnecessary files. One of the best programs for this purpose is BleachBit. BleachBit is a free and open source program available for Windows and Linux. When you visit the official website, the link will be in the video description, and click on the download button, you will see two sections. In the installation package section, you can download the graphical version of the program, which is available for Linux and Windows. In the special section, there are other versions. Among others, there is a version for macOS, but when you click on this option, you will see that the application is only available in command line form. Additionally, in this section, you can download older versions of the program or view the source code of the application, as it is an open source project. In this video, we will discuss the graphical version of the program. First, we will click on Windows to download the version intended for this operating system. Once the page loads, you will have two options. You can download the version that installs on your computer, or the portable version that does not require installation. If you want to save the program on a USB device and use it on multiple computers, download the portable version. I will choose the first option, which is the installation version, suitable for most users. When we start the installation, we will first have the option to select a language, and then we will need to agree to the terms of use. After that, you can choose whether you want the application to be available for all users, if multiple people use the same computer, or just for you. Then you will get the option to specify the location where the program will be installed. If you want the installation to occur in a different location, click the Browse button and select your desired folder. When you click the next button, you will see an overview of all the components of the program that will be installed. If you do not want to install any of them, simply uncheck the box. Finally, click the Install button and the installation will begin. Once the installation process is successfully completed and the program is launched, you will see all available options on the left side. Initially, none are selected, so we will briefly explain what each option does, so you can make a selection that best suits your needs. In the Deep Scan section, there are options that will perform a comprehensive scan of the disk to identify files and folders that may have remained after uninstalling programs, as well as those that have accumulated during the regular use. The Deep Scan can detect hidden or system files that take up space, further freeing up disk capacity. Backup files. This option deletes files that have been created as backups by various applications. These files often take up significant space. DS Store. These files are specific for macOS and contain information about folder views. If you are using macOS, deleting these files can help free up space. On Windows or Linux, these files may be present if you have transferred data from a macOS computer, for example using a USB or external hard drive. ThumbsDB. These files are used in Windows operating system to cache thumbnails in folders. Deleting these files can free up space, but Windows will recreate new ones when you open folders with images. Temporary files. This option deletes temporary files created during the use of various applications. These files often take up significant space and are usually not needed after you close the application, meaning they are not necessary when the application is inactive. When the application is active, new temporary files are typically generated as needed. Vim swap files across system and Vim swap files under user profile. Vim, a popular text editor, creates swap files as a safeguard against data loss. This option deletes those swap files that may have remained on the system. Next, we have options related to the web browser you are using. In this specific case, it is Firefox. However, if you are using another web browser, you will have a similar or identical options, which we will also see for Edge, as we are currently working on a Windows operating system. Backup files. This option deletes backup copies of files that Firefox may automatically create. These files are usually not needed after the session ends. Cache. This option deletes cache files that Firefox uses to load web pages faster. Caching can improve performance, but over time it can take up significant disk space. If you do not want this program to delete all data from the pages where you are currently logged in, do not check the option for cookies and DOM storage. If you check either of these two options, the data, in other words cookies, used for authentication and identification on the sites where you are logged in, will be deleted. Crash reports. This option deletes crash reports that Firefox generates when an error occurs. These reports can be useful for developers but are usually not needed by users. Form history. This option deletes all data you have entered into forms on websites, such as your name, address, phone number, and similar information. This option is significant for privacy preservation as it helps prevent unauthorized access to your personal information. Passwords. This option deletes all usernames and passwords you have saved in the web browser. Session restore and site preferences. If you check these two options, all data about currently open pages as well as settings specific to individual websites will be deleted. URL history. This option deletes the list of web pages you have visited. Vacuum. This option cleans up database fragmentation, reducing space usage and improving browser speed. Although Internet Explorer is no longer in use, some components of this web browser may still be present in Windows operating systems. Therefore, we will check all deletion options related to it. Next, we will have section related to Edge, which is the default web browser in Windows. Everything we previously mentioned for Firefox applies to this web browser as well. Then we have a section called System. In this section, the only option I would not recommend checking is free disk space. This option will not lead to increase in free disk space as one might conclude from its name. Instead, if you check it, the program will perform a wipe of the free space on the hard drive to prevent the recovery of deleted files. In other words, when you delete data, there is a possibility of recovering it using specialized programs. This option is intended to prevent such recovery by wiping the free space on the disk. Clipboard. This option deletes the contents of the clipboard, which is used for copy and paste operations. Custom. This option deletes user-specified files and folders. Logs. This option deletes log files generated by the system and applications. Memory dump. This file is created when the operating system experiences a crash or error. It contains a snapshot of the RAM contents at the time the problem occurred. Memory dump files may contain sensitive information, which is why deleting them is advisable for privacy and system security. MUI cache. This option deletes cache data used for faster loading of information about applications and files. Prefetch. This option deletes prefetch files that Windows uses to speed up application launches. Recycle bin. This option empties the recycle bin, permanently deleting files that were previously deleted but still exist in the bin. Temporary files. This option deletes temporary files created during the use of applications. These files are often not needed after closing the program and can take up significant space. Update uninstallers. This option deletes uninstallation files for Microsoft updates, including hotfixes, service packages, and updates. The next section is Windows Defender. I recommend checking all options in this section, which I will do. This will delete all data related to the use of this program, such as logs, history, quarantined files, backups, and temporary files. If any of the files in this section are currently in use, you will receive a notification that the operation could not be completed due to a lack of permissions. In the Windows Explorer section, if you do not want the arrangement of icons on the desktop to be disturbed and you do not want thumbnails to be deleted, do not check the last two options in this section. All other options should be checked, which will lead to the deletion of data about recently used files and folders. Finally, we will also check the deletion of data related to the use of Windows Media Player. After you make your selections, to start the deletion process, all you need to do is click the Clean button in the upper left corner. The process may take a few minutes or longer, depending on the configuration and the speed of your computer, as well as whether you regularly clean your system or you are doing it for the first time. Once the process is successfully completed, you will receive information about the amount of unnecessary data that has been removed. In my case, as you can see, a little over 5 GB has been removed. When it comes to Linux, you can install program using terminal by entering the command sudo apt install BleachBit. After that, enter your password to grant permission to the installation and wait for the installation process to complete. Additionally, if it is easier for you, you can install the application using the software manager. Once you successfully install the program on Linux, you will notice that you have two options or two icons of the program. One is called BleachBit and other is BleachBit as root. If you run the first option, BleachBit, the program will operate without additional privileges, meaning it will only have access to the files and folders for which your user account has permissions. This means it can clean data that is accessible to your user account but cannot access system files or files belonging to other users. When you run BleachBit with root privileges, BleachBit as root, the program gains access to all files and folders on the system. This allows for the cleaning of system files, cache, logs, and other data that are otherwise protected and not accessible to regular users. If you are using the Linux version of the program, you will notice that there are some segments that are specific to Linux as an operating system. For example, we have the apt segment, where you can check the option to delete packages that have been downloaded but are no longer needed, as well as the option to delete packages that were automatically downloaded as dependencies. You can also delete downloaded packages from the apt cache and remove the list of packages available for installation or updating. In addition to cleaning the operating system, the program also offers the option to permanently delete a specific file or folder. When you click on the program icon in the upper left corner, you will see the option Shred Files and the option Shred Folders. In this section, you can also perform a wipe of free space on the hard drive by selecting the Wipe Free Space option. However, as mentioned earlier, this option will not lead to an increase in free disk space, it will only prevent the possibility of recovering deleted data. Feel free to leave any suggestions, questions or ideas for future video content in comments. Thanks to everyone who took the time to watch this video. I hope you find it useful or at least informative.